This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Ben Settle, compulsively punchable.
He's the kind of guy who you'd probably just punch on the arm really hard if you ever met him.
Worshipped by feminists.
He pokes fun at feminism and women, just joking around, his whole sandwich making thing.
Mildly inspiring.
Yes, I recommend the Ben Settle Show, and anybody who isn't on it, that's their own loss.
Somewhat authentic.
Ben is a very distinct personality. There's no fluff. I can't stand fluff.
Syrupy sweet.
Tells it like it is, and sometimes may not be the most polite manner, shall we say.
Kind of useful.
So I have spent tens of thousands of dollars on coaching and masterminds, and I've learned more from Ben Settle's podcast than from any of that.
Semi-intelligent.
Ben sounds like a crazy guy at times, but he's one of the smartest individuals in marketing I've ever met.
Mostly forgettable.
He's always in the forefront of my mind.
The BenSettle.com podcast begins now.
This is Ben Settle, the BenSettle.com podcast. And Jonathan, did you have something to say when you were trying to interrupt me there when I was doing my intro?
No, I'm actually thinking that I need to start carrying my 22 because my 45 doesn't fit in the gun safe. So that's what's on my mind.
See, there we go. Joe Holdman may have just saved someone's life in the Rivera household. And that is a result of vision and demonstration and all that. So that was a fun episode. I don't usually give that kind of much information away, Jonathan, but I like to help the little people out every now and then. I do. My playthings, as I like to call my horde. So I said we'd do a Q&A episode this time, and that is exactly what we're going to do as I reach over to my sack of questions. And the first question is from Brandon Flannery. Why does the bulk of the copywriting industry seem to be geared towards helping copywriters learn how to sell their version of how to help copywriters learn to sell their version without actually giving any real world help? Why? And he says, he doesn't use your name, Jonathan. But I'm going to say, why, Jonathan, are there so many gurus, he spells it the way I spell it with the 2 O's, who seem to not have any real clients other than other newbie copywriters? I realize hawking stuff is hawking stuff, but what about other areas of selling that do not include chucking downloadable papers on how to sell downloadable papers?
Boom.
Well, Brandon, I think he brings a good point up, Jonathan. I mean, it is annoying. It is very annoying. And it's like an epidemic level at this point where people come into this industry, and I know people who do this. I know people several people, Jonathan, and I'm not going to name names because I don't see any reason to, but I know people who teach how to get clients, copywriting clients, who struggle to get copywriting clients. Yet they're teaching people how to get clients. And, I don't know, there's a disconnect there, right? Like maybe they got a client once and they got lucky or something or whatever. But yeah, I mean, Brandon makes a good point. And this goes back to something I've written about before. Jonathan, we may have done a podcast about this. I don't remember, like in the old Ben Settle show. But this I think it may even be an email player's rule. Assume we're all full of crap until proven otherwise. All of us. You should assume I'm full of it until I can prove to you. This is why my website, I spend so much time on my site where I have 70 hours worth of podcasts, why I have, over a dozen hours of radio interviews and podcast interviews and hardcore teachings I've done for the Ken McCarthy System Club and Copy Blogger audience and that sort of thing. It's to demonstrate my knowledge. That's why I have a giant page full of testimonials to demonstrate that I'm not just making this stuff up. That's why I give you the free email players issue when you opt into my list, because I want you to use it so that it demonstrates itself. You don't have to listen to me. So assume we're all full of crap for anyone who's wondering about this until proven otherwise. Yeah, I'll tell you what, if you really want to just save yourself a lot of money, and I'm always picking on Facebook, Jonathan. I don't know why. I think it's just because it's bred a huge generation of people who have never bothered to learn the fundamentals of anything that they're trying to teach. All they have to do is go on there and talk, and they can get clients, and clients are just so gullible now. They actually hire people from Facebook, and it's sad. I would say this. If you want to avoid this being a problem, learning from wannabes and you can't tell, just stay off Facebook, all right? Just get away from there. That would be my thing. So anyway, I don't know if that answers his question, Jonathan. I don't know if that adds to his life at all, Brandon. I don't know if that helps you, but that's what I would say. You bring up a very good point, and assume we're all full of crap until proven otherwise, and you really can't go wrong. And I'll tell you what, here's some people. I'm going to name some people you should be following when it comes to copywriting. Bob Bly. he walks the walk and talks the talk. I know some people they don't think he's sexy enough and all that because he doesn't teach the tactics. I learned from guys like him principles and stuff. That's why I like his meat and potato style. That's what I try to do. So you look for people like that. The old school guys who've been doing this since before the internet and are successful on the internet too, because they're using principles that you're not getting taught on Flakebook. I guarantee it. You're not going to learn that stuff from the next Facebook Live video from someone in their group who just has a charismatic personality. All right, so there you go. Moving on to the next question. This is from Will Bontrager. I can't, obviously my pronunciation, Jonathan, is much to be desired. Will Bontrager, Bontrager. Will, I apologize if I butchered your name, but that's what you get for sending me a question knowing that I can't pronounce names correctly. It's your fault, Will. Hey, Ben, what does a person do when they have so many unique, surefire, millionaire-making ideas that they're sitting around in stasis at their desk with unkempt hair and scraggly beard trying to figure out which one is best to do first? And deathly afraid to share them with anyone because the ideas might all turn out to be duds, which simply be too much to face. Will, the only piece of advice I have for you is to sack up and take action. All right? There's no magic formula for this. No accountability groups can help you with this. No sewing circle of other internet marketers trying to give you advice. Just ignore them. You listen to Uncle Al Bembo when he says step 1 is to sack up. Step 2 is to reach in to those ideas, grab one that excites you and run with it and test it and see what happens. That's how you get educated in this. It may fail. Who cares? All right? It doesn't matter. It's just the result. It doesn't mean you're a failure. I mean, the fact that you have all these ideas is a good thing. That's an asset. And a lot of people are not idea. I'm not a big idea person, Jonathan. I can tell you right now, I don't have tons of money-making ideas sitting around. No, I'm too simple for that. I don't.
Yeah, writing. Write, make money. Hit send, make money, right?
Write
Very
email,
basic
send to
game
list.
plan.
Write email, push send, move on with day. That's the extent of mine. So, Will, once again, sack up. Just sack up, dude. Just sack up. Implement one of those great ideas. See what happens. If it doesn't work, implement another one. You're going to get a much better education doing that than almost anything else. So you're in a good position. So I got your back, dude. I feel for you. I really do, because I understand that that's frustrating, but sack up. All right. So next question. And by the way, if it seems like I'm going faster, this is because producer Jonathan is in a hurry today. So you can blame him for my speed. But it probably wouldn't hurt us after the 33-minute last week. So balance. But this next question is from my buddy, Matt Fox. Persuasion Fox is his name. He's a master of persuasion. He has a great podcast. What are things repeatedly doing that stops them from getting to a place of success with email marketing, business, whatever you want to run with here? Okay, so 3 things. Following bandwagons. So, by that I mean there's some new thing that everybody jumps on and they leave the thing that was working to do that. We see this with email. For 15 years, I've seen this with email. One day it's like, oh, this is the best way to do it. And then next day, well, no, it's dying. It doesn't work anymore. You got to use this thing instead. And now that's dying. No, now it's Periscope or whatever. The people jump from one bandwagon to the next based on whatever direction the farting of their favorite guru, wherever wind the fart blows in, they follow it. So following bandwagons is one really dumb thing. Find what you like doing and become great at it. And don't think you have to, just because the crowd is going after the next new thing doesn't mean you have to learn it. And the more they say you have to do something, the less you have to do it. Trust me, that's another thing. Another thing people do that's stupid is spending too much time on Facebook, which I think I beat that centaur to death already. And finally, not focusing on fundamentals. See, Matt Fox is an interesting guy because I know that he already knows this stuff that we're talking about. I suspect he was asking this question on behalf of everyone else because I already know he knows it because we've talked about this stuff. But not focusing on fundamentals is a huge problem. I mean, Jonathan, it is obvious when somebody asks me questions if they're a newbie or not. Not because, even though they posture and all that, you can tell because they're asking questions that show that they have not learned the fundamentals of direct marketing and they're trying to go out there and skip steps. Bad idea. Start with the basics. You know what? I walked to my office today, Jonathan, because it's a nice day here on the coast. It's about a 34, 35-minute walk usually. And you know what I listened to on the way here? You want to take a wild guess? What? I bet you're never going to guess it, so I'm not going to make it.
Yes, you listened to one of the old Entrepreneur shows.
I did not, but I do like to boost my ego sometimes, and that's a nice thought. I listened to a Dan Kennedy talk, which is not even like a paid product. It's a sales pitch, actually, that he gave to the Peter Lowe conference. It's a very popular talk. He uses it to sell his magnetic marketing course. It's been around for many years. It was one of the first things I ever got from him. It still gives really good information about like how to be a welcome guest and how to use direct mail. It talks about Pete, whatever the plumber guy is. There's a plumber in there. It talks about his marketing. I think is that Joe the plumber, Pete the plumber, something like that. And it's all fundamental stuff. There's nothing sexy at all, but I'm still listening to this 15 years after I first got it, because I got it when I was on cassette tape in 2002. And it's what sold me on wanting to get magnetic marketing, actually. But it's still really inherently good information. It's all principle based. It's all fundamentals. This is what I listen to. I don't buy all these new products, Jonathan. I don't have the time and patience to get through the fluff and nonsense that most people teach these days. I really don't. I go back to the old school masters. And again, that's not even a paid product. It's a lead generation is what it is. It's the equivalent of a free report that gives you some good information. I still go back to that. And when I get done listening to this Peter Lowe conference talk he gives, which is really good information, anyone who's ever heard it, I believe it's on Michael Senoff's site, hard to find, seminars.com if you're looking for it. I'll listen to his original magnetic marketing program, which doesn't even apply to the internet. It's like all offline stuff, direct mail and all this, but I get the principles behind it are what give me an advantage online. And most people are just too good to listen to that stuff. They want the sexy stuff. Name any guru you want. They want that guy's stuff. Ooh, that's the new launch and all this. Screw all that. I go back to the old school fundamentals, and it has served me well, and it will serve any listeners well to do the same. Next question. Jonathan, I don't...
Try it. Come on, you have to.
You've seen the name, right? Because I sent it to you, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Why can't people just be named Scott Smith? Why does it have to be these names? Junaid Khawaja. Junaid, how do you say his name? Why do you do this to me, Junaid? Why? Why can't you just change your name to Bob Smith? Why are you doing this to me? I mean, all this information I give them, Jonathan, all the value I give them, and they can't even like change their name for me when they send a question in.
I think that's part of the entertainment value, brother.
Well, I hope they're getting entertained at my expense then. That's fine too. You know, I've always tell people, if you get trolled, the best way to prevent yourself from being trolled is just to troll yourself first. And then you take away the troll's power. There's a free little tip for anybody. So here's what Junaid asked. Here's what Bob Smith asked. I'm just going to name it. I'm just changing it to Bob Smith. On your deathbed, will you call your son, if you have any, hand him $9,000 and ask him to put all your email player newsletters online for free, just like Gary Halbert did? Now, Jonathan, I didn't know, I'm pretty sure all of the Gary Halbert issues are not on that site at thegaryhalbertletter.com. And I know this because there's many that are not up there. There's many that I still don't have, and they're not up there. So if they made that deal, they're not up there yet as of last time I've checked. In fact, here's what I wish the Halbert brothers. I do not know the Halbert brothers, by the way. I don't know them. I've never met them. I'm sure they're great guys and everything. I've read about them. Obviously, I read about them in the Boron letters. I mean, man, what a cool way to learn at the feet of the master, Gary Halbert, like that. That's awesome. But I remember not many years, but a couple years ago, I remember just on Facebook randomly, I saw Russell Brunson post on Bond Halbert's wall. I think it was Bond. It was one of their walls, and said, can't you guys just bundle all of Gary Halbert's stuff in one thing? I will buy it. And just whatever, name your price. Just bundle everything he's ever done into one thing, like one giant box. And I will pay you whatever you ask. And I would say the same thing. I would love that. Like all of his issues, all of his products, all that stuff. If they would just bundle all that, they would make a few of us very happy, which probably isn't worth their time now that I think about it, because there's probably not a lot of people who would.
The few that can afford it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really worth it for them to do it. But this is just this is my fanboy question. Fanboyism, Gary Halbert fanboyism. We'd love to see that, or at least be able to buy all the issues, not just the select ones that are up there, but all of them in physical form. In some way. I do this with email players. People who join email players, they get the back issue catalog. They can buy them all at once. I've had people do that, and that would be cool. Not that they.
Really?
I don't think they listen to this podcast, Jonathan. But if they do, I'm pleading for you to please sell us. Please, I want to give you money. I really do. I want to buy all your dad's stuff. And I'd be happy to do it. And you know what? There's a lot of us who would actually tell all of our marketing friends about it. It's like you'd probably make more money than you think. That would be my guess. Or not. Who knows? All right, last question, Jonathan. We're going to edge this one out a little early. This is from my pal, Wally Conger. And he says, what, if any, are your favorite mindset books or recordings, besides your own Villains book, which has become my Bible? Well, thank you for that, Wally. I'm glad you enjoyed the Villains book so much. It really is my ninth symphony. It's really the thing that That's my contribution to saving Western civilization if it's possible at this point. So 3 things. The first really isn't a book. It's a cassette record. It's actually it was originally an album. Like, that's how old it is. Called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. There's 2 versions of it. There's an older one, and a newer one. I like the older one better. They're both great. There's nothing wrong with the other one, but it's just, I don't know. I really like it. So there's The Strangest Secret. And there's also a video version of it I like quite a bit too. Strangest Secret. It's not like I'm into the woo-woo stuff and all that, but there is a lot of wisdom in that training, just for getting your mind on straight about how success works. And I back in the dark days of Bembo's business career, that's got me through some really dark times because I didn't have anything else to really much to go on. But that helped get my mind straight. Another one is talking about Dan Kennedy, is his book called No Rules. It's how to become successful by breaking all the rules. It is a great, I don't know if it's intended to be a mindset book, but it sure is a mindset shifting book, because you realize all these cliches about things you're not supposed to do, actually you should be doing. And that book has had a tremendous impact on how I do things and how I conduct my business. I've read that book several times. It's so good. You just never get tired of it. And then finally, the third thing is also a Dan Kennedy book called his No BS Time Management book, which just from a time management thing, it's great. But there's 2 chapters in particular that I like the most. One is about punctuality and the power it gives you just from a mindset point of view. And the other is about the power of self-discipline, which is also a really powerful mindset thing. So those are the 3 resources I would recommend, like, for mindset stuff. I'm not a big mindset guy, Jonathan. There's also a book called Guerrilla Mindset from Mike Cernovich, which, is also a really good one. It's not really business necessarily, but it's really good mindset stuff. Anything by Mike Cernovich to me is worth doing, like seeing, especially just reading his Twitter is a good mindset thing, actually, I think. So that's it for this time, Jonathan. That's all I got. We're cutting it a little bit short. Next week, I'm going to go over the anatomy of a guru fanboy, GOO-ROO fanboy. These people are all over the place. And if you don't know how to recognize them, you may find that you're actually buying stuff from them and following them, which is just going to lead you down to the path of despair and utter darkness and ruin. So that's next week.
I like that little caution at the end. All right, so that's a wrap for another bensettle.com podcast. We'll be back in your earbuds next time.
You've been listening to the bensettle.com podcast. To get your hands on a free issue of Ben Settle's prestigious $97 per month email player's newsletter, simply go to www.bensettle.com.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.